My name is Stacy Nagel. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am the WRJ Pacific District Vice President of Membership. I also am the treasurer of Miriam Circle Sisterhood in Orange County, California, and you're going to get to hear a little bit more about Miriam Circle later because we are uniquely unaffiliated with a synagogue, and that's something I'm going to talk to you guys about in a little bit. I also am a past president of Temple Beth Shalom Sisterhood in Santa Ana, and I attended the University of California, Davis as an undergraduate, where I got my degree in psychology with a minor in education. And then I went on and got my PhD at the University of California, Irvine in social ecology with an emphasis in human development. I was on the tenure track for about 3 years there and then made the decision to stay at home. I haven't been at home since, except for this last year. I was a Girl Scout leader for 18 years and volunteered in my daughter's schools, including running many PTA membership drives. I currently work as the business administrator for my husband and my firm, computer engineering firm. And I have been married to my husband, Mark, for 35 years. We have 2 daughters, Emily, who is in the hospitality industry in Nevada, and Jenny, who is currently in the elementary education master's program at Northwestern University in Illinois. I'd really like to thank you all for coming tonight to Membership Mania, Sisterhoods Gone Wild. I'm really excited to have you here. I'd especially like to thank our amazing Vice President of Marketing and Communication, Shoshana Lewin Fisher, who is helping me out with tech and the chat later on tonight. And I'm going to ask Shoshana now to just tell you a few Zoom tech tips. Say that 3 times fast.
Thanks, Stacy. I'm sure most of you are probably very familiar with Zoom because you lived and breathed it for the last year, but just as a reminder, if you want to change your view from gallery to speaker, you can do that in the upper right-hand corner. You can also exit your full screen if that's something you want to do. Again, as Stacy mentioned, we're going to have everyone on mute, but we encourage everyone to open up your chat and put questions in there. We're going to have a dialogue in there, and we want people to feel comfortable asking questions. If you want to wait till the end, you're welcome to do that as well. If you're going to be getting up and walking around and doing things, that's okay, but we ask that you turn your video off, just so it's not as distracting to everybody else. We do appreciate that. And again, if you like something that someone has to say, you can click on that reaction button. There's thumbs up and hearts there. And that's also where you're going to be raising your hand later when you have questions. We don't want to miss anyone. And sometimes doing this makes it easier for us to miss you. So we encourage you to raise your virtual hand so we can call on you and make sure your question is asked.
I think there's one more.
There you go. So, and if you do have any tech issues or any problems, it's okay, you can skip that one, it's all good, I can do that. If you do have any tech issues or any problems, feel free to message me directly. I'm Shoshana Lynn Fisher, I'm toward the top, and I'll get to, I can help you out. Just make sure to private message me and I'll take care of that. So again, thank you again for coming. This is being recorded, it will be on Yammer. So once it gets posted, we encourage all of you to come to the Pacific District page on Yammer and talk about your experience. And back to you, Stacy.
Thank you, Shoshana. Thank you so much. So tonight I am going to first talk to you guys. I say guys a lot, and I apologize. I'm working on it. I'm going to talk to you all about some of the questions that I have noticed come up a lot when I go to membership workshops at convention, the Freed Women's Conference. I just noticed that certain questions come up quite often among our vice presidents of membership, our sisterhood presidents, our membership chairs. So I'm going to try and cover a lot of those questions tonight. But like I said, I'm going to try and leave ample time at the end for your questions. If you have, if you want to talk about your particular sisterhood, I can stay on afterwards too, whatever works best for you. So the first thing I want to talk about has been coming up a lot, and that is a lot of people, because we are in a phase where we're heading out of the coronavirus quarantine, a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen with our sisterhoods when we go back in terms of how are we going to engage our sisters.
Oh,
so
Stacy, I think you want to go to the next slide.
Yeah, I am. I know.
Okay, good. I want to make sure.
I wanted to introduce. Thank you.
Carry on.
Okay, so we have several choices for engaging members post-COVID. The first is we can do everything all in person. And I know a lot of us miss this. We miss being all in person together. So this would mean doing our nighttime meetings, our board meetings on the weekend, our events, our social, cultural, educational, social justice events, all in person, all together. And some of the advantages of that, obviously the biggest advantage of that is our well-being. A lot of us, including me, miss the hugs. We miss being together. We miss being able to put our arms around each other during a Sisterhood Shabbat. And so it's really going to be good for our well-being to be able to be together again. Another advantage of doing everything in person is some sisterhoods have said that on Zoom, you can't get as many active volunteers. We say a lot the phrase, many hands make light work. We can't really do many hands make light work. We can't have a project together if we're not all together. We can bring things into our home and do them on our own, right? Put together baggies for people, but it's really nice when we can all put those envelopes together, and we can have people be more actively engaged as a group. So those are some advantages of being in person all together. But what if not everybody is comfortable yet with being in person? What if people still feel shy about coming out together to be in person without masks or even with masks? Some people may not want to be hugged. Some people may not have wanted to be hugged to begin with, but some people, especially now, may have reasons that they really don't want to be near other people. So we have to be really respectful of our sisters who are not yet as comfortable with being in person. If we make everything in person, especially if we run back into it really fast and make everything in person, we're going to have some sisters who are just not as comfortable, and we may not be able to engage them because they don't want to be in person with everybody. So something else we can do instead is we can go to all virtual. We can do our everything online, our nighttime meetings, our social, cultural, educational, social justice programs, our board meetings. We can keep it all online. Now, some of the advantages there are that some of you may have noticed this year with being online that you got some members that you've never seen before. Maybe there are folks that don't like to drive at night, but now they would come on a Zoom meeting. Maybe there are younger women who have children who didn't want to drive to the synagogue or to the sisterhood meeting, but now after they put their kids to bed, will come to your meeting. Maybe there are people who, when it's bad weather, when it's raining, don't want to go drive in their car, but they'll come and sit in their pajama bottoms or their jammies or their jeans and join your Zoom meeting. So one of the advantages of being online is getting those new and different members that you may not have seen before when you were in person. Another advantage of going all virtual is that there may be less labor and cost involved. We found with our sisterhood, we were able to get speakers who would come online who wouldn't charge us or would charge us very little. Those speakers might have been a lot more expensive if they had to travel, if they had to go in a car to your synagogue. Also, there was no food events, right? We weren't all together eating. So there was no setup, no cleanup, no getting the food, no assigning the jobs. So being online for some things is a lot less labor intensive. So those are some advantages of being virtual. But what if some of our sisters, I'm one of them, are fatigued by Zoom? We're on Zoom all the time. I think somebody mentioned at the very beginning, a lot of people probably are coming at another Zoom meeting to come to this. What if some people just feel that Zoom is awkward and unfriendly and they're just tired of Zoom? Maybe they're yawning, they're doodling. We can't tell if they're engaged because they have Zoom fatigue. So Zoom can be challenging. So there is a third option. The third option is to combine both in-person and virtual into hybrid. Hybrid is where everyone can participate in every event. Hybrid is where you have both an online presence and an in-person presence at the same events, whether that be your nighttime meetings, to board meetings, to social justice programs, to fun programs, educational programs. But there are some tips if you are going to do hybrid. One thing is, if your synagogue has live streaming, you need to see if you can get in on that and ask your synagogue to be a part of that. They may ask you, live streaming costs money sometimes, and so they may ask you to help participate in paying for live streaming. I would suggest if you can afford it, that would be a good place to budget some money. If your synagogue doesn't have live streaming, maybe you want to suggest live streaming, and maybe if your sisterhood can afford it, you even want to help pay for it. If you do that, make sure that they know that you want your sisterhood to have top priority in what programs and events get to be live streamed. Another suggestion to make hybrid work is to have a tech-savvy person either on your board, maybe you have somebody at your synagogue in your sisterhood who is willing to be that tech-savvy person, the person who is going to help if something goes wrong with the live stream or the Zoom, or if you're Skyping with somebody or FaceTiming with somebody who knows how to work it. If you don't have that kind of person or don't know where to find that person, how about a college student or a high school student? Oftentimes you can pay them a little bit of money or offer for high school students, especially community service. Maybe they'd be willing to come to your board meetings, for example, and be in charge of your tech. Or maybe for a big event where you want to have live streaming also, they'd be willing to monitor it and make sure it goes well. And I think it's really important if we're going to be doing hybrid or virtual in general, to have somebody that knows and can focus their attention on the tech part of it so that everybody else can focus on the event itself. Speaking of tech, we have amazing tech trainings. Shoshana is one of those people that does those tech trainings. Both the WRJ and our Pacific District offer all kinds of tech trainings, everything from how to do Zoom to Yammer, social media kinds of things. We have so many amazing resources in the WRJ and in the Pacific District for you. Check out Yammer, check out those tech trainings. I think they're going to be really helpful if we are going to continue to do some part or all of our sisterhood events online. And finally, I'm going to really strongly suggest that if you don't already have one, that your sisterhood budget for a Zoom account. A Zoom account that will allow you to have more people and more time, especially if you're going to have some of your larger events, both hybrid, both online and in person. So that is another choice you have, is to go hybrid. But I'm going to suggest something else. I know I'm wild tonight because everybody's been talking about hybrid. But I picture this. We're at an event like Sisterhood Shabbat, and you have virtual members watching other members eating and enjoying themselves and chatting and listening to the speaker in person and hugging each other. I don't know how I would feel, honestly, if I was watching all that fun being together from afar, if I was watching people enjoying each other's company from afar. Would I feel welcome and included? Maybe some people would, but maybe some people would not. Would they want to go again? I don't know. So I'm going to suggest a fourth option. One more choice for engaging members I call the mix-up. The mix-up is a little different than hybrid. The mix-up is the idea is that you look at your calendar and you look at how things went this year, this crazy COVID year, and you look and you say, we got some of those new and different members to come to our nighttime board meetings, but for a Sisterhood Shabbat or a membership event, it would be really lovely to be in person. So maybe you look at your calendar and you say, some events I think we're going to do in person. Some we're going to do virtual. Some we're going to do hybrid. And we're going to determine that based on who came, who we want to engage, and the best way for us to be welcoming and inclusive. So for example, I would think events in the winter, for those of us, we're all in the Pacific District, so our winters are not going to be as crazy as winters on the other side of our country. I know that. But sometimes winter is cold, winter is rainy in some parts. The Pacific Northwest, I think you can agree with me, right? So what if during winter, for example, we made more of our events virtual? And what if during spring and fall, we made more, when it's beautiful outside, we made more of our events in person? What if we didn't determine what events we were doing virtual or in person based on how we felt about them, but based on how we think our sisterhood will react to them. So I have there virtual could be things at night. People who can't drive at night would love it if we had virtual meetings still. Weather, if it's bad weather. Meetings, speakers that are cheaper online, still have some virtual speakers. But in person, I think if it involves food and social, or maybe the springtime, that's where you can invite people to come in person. Maybe for hybrid, those kinds of religious events like services, like Sisterhood Shabbat service, that would be a lovely place to make sure everyone's included. So people can come both virtually and watch it live stream, and they can come. Cultural events, speakers that are the kinds of speakers that you could see both in person and virtually. It's really going to be specific to each of your sisterhoods. I can't tell you which one to do, but I can tell you that what I like about the mix-up is that it's not just assuming that everything will work hybrid or everything will work virtually or in person. It's the idea that you look at, we got a lot of people coming to our nighttime meetings, but people weren't as keen on doing Sister Shabbat on Zoom. Maybe we do that. And then maybe we're going to do a dinner, a virtual dinner still in the winter. Well, maybe we want to all have soup. Everybody make your favorite soup in your house and join in your jammies on Zoom. But then in the spring, we're all going to get together in person. Looking at your calendar and using the seasons, using who your members are, and using what happened this year to determine what happens next, I think it's just a very different way of looking at it. But I'm hoping it will work for some of you at least. So regardless of whether you decide to do all in person, all virtual, hybrid, or mix up, there are some things that are consistent no matter how you do them. If you want your members to come and to stay, these are my 3 key things that I think you always have to do. You always have to be welcoming and inclusive. And yes, I use the word always, even though it's a big, I think it's always important to be welcoming and inclusive. One way to do that is to go slowly back. The best way to be welcoming and inclusive is to not rush back into all in person, for example, or rush back into all your activities. I think it's really good to keep in mind that comfort level and that safety level, especially since some people are still getting vaccinated. Some people may not want to get vaccinated. Some people, even after they're fully vaccinated, may not want to come to things in person yet. So it's really important. Part of being welcoming and inclusive is to be mindful of everyone's comfort level and check in with your sisters, see if they're comfortable. Another way to be welcoming and inclusive is to just make sure that you greet everybody. And if you can't greet everybody, at least mention, hey, I'm just really glad, like I did tonight, and it's true, that I'm really glad that everyone was able to come. Just making sure that people feel like they're welcomed and appreciated is just really important, whether it's on Zoom or it's in person. Another way to have them come and to stay is to make personal connections and follow up. Personal connections can be text, can be email, but I love the phone still. I think making phone calls is still the best way to keep that personal connection. After somebody comes to something, especially if they're new to you or they don't come very often, make sure you call or text or email some way afterwards. Say to them, you know, Zelda, it was so nice to see you at the meeting last night. I hope you'll come again. You know, Bertha, we loved having you there. We're having next week, we're having a program on blah, 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 and we'd love for you to be there again. Those kinds of follow-up, let people know that you saw them and you appreciated them coming. Another thing I do, and I'm about to tell you guys my secret. I've never done this. I've given lots of membership talks and I've never given away my secret, but I'm gonna give away my secret. How I make personal connections is I keep notes. I keep membership notes. If I'm talking to somebody and they mention that they happen to have a Yorkshire Terrier, my dad has a Yorkshire Terrier. So I write a little note, has a Yorkshire Terrier. Or if I'm talking to somebody and they grew up in the same place I grew up, I write down, grew up in Sacramento. Because those kinds of connections, it's kind of like when you meet somebody on a plane and you start telling your whole life story. Those kinds of connections are what connect us to each other as sisters. And not only is it awesome for me, because I make those connections, but it's really awesome for the other person to know, oh, we have something in common. So commonalities like that are a great way to connect with your sisters and make them feel welcome and important. And it's another way for them to come and stay too. Oh, I got to know Stacy, and she has kittens just like I do, and her kittens climb all over her in the middle of presentations just like mine do. You know, whatever it is, those kinds of connections are really what brought us to sisterhood, I think, in the first place, and what bring us back. And the reason I take notes is because I don't have a very good memory. And so as much as I want to remember everything about everybody I meet, I just don't. It's just my lack of memory. So for me, it just helps to take notes on those connections so that I know, hey, I met Bertha and she also has a Yorkshire Terrier. And I can remind her, is yours yapping? My dad's dog yaps all the time, kind of conversations. Another thing is those, for personal connection, are dropping off of goodies. I don't know how many of your sisters did this, and I'll be curious to ask when we get to the Q&A. Our sisterhood did this and our sisters loved it. We couldn't have them come to the synagogue and give them all kinds of goodies. So we dropped things off on their front porch. For those who live further away, we mailed them little goodies. I don't see any reason why not to continue that. If you can do that, if your sisterhood has it in your budget or can put it in your budget, the goodies can be little. It can be a box of mint with a little note that says mint a lot that you came to our event, or a little thing of popcorn that says just popping by to say how much we appreciate you in our sisterhood, or a plant that says with you we blossom, or flower. It can be anything like that. It can be little honey candies, which we did, and plants at Rosh Hashanah, or little, if you have a program that has like chocolate's a little harder because it can melt. So you text them before you come and you say, about to drop off something on your front porch at such and such time. It's got chocolate in it, heads up. But I mean, you can do pretty much anything. And those personal connections like that dropping, it just makes somebody's day to have something on their front porch. Be sure that you label it with your sisterhood's name, because some people are a little shy about getting something on their front porch that they don't recognize who it's from and what it is. So just make sure that it has a label on it, that it has your sisterhood's label somewhere on it, that it's from you. And the final thing is to help them come and stay is to be flexible, adaptable, and try new things. I would like to see us all cancel the phrases, we've always done it this way, that didn't work for us in the past, that won't work, we did that already. If you have somebody new show up and they give you an idea and you say something like, well, we tried that, it didn't work, they're gonna feel deflated. So maybe you could have your sisters who like to say those kind of things pay $1 each time they say it into a tzedakah jar or something, because those phrases really should be canceled. It's time to try new things. What better time to do it than right after we're getting done with COVID, right? We're trying things new. We're gonna have to try hybrid or mixing it up, some in person, some virtual, whatever we're gonna do, we're gonna be trying new things. So why not make this your time to be flexible and adaptable and try new things? Let people have new ideas. What's the worst that can happen? Let's say they don't work. So either you don't do them again, or you change them and you try them one more time. But it's really a great time. It's always a great time. Sisterhood really should be the place where we let people have new ideas and run with them. And we're supportive of those ideas. And with the flexible part, I also want to mention something that's going to come up later also, is make sure you're flexible with people's time too. If people have to pop in and out, it's okay. If people can only give you 10 minutes of their time, it's okay. I mean, let's be really flexible with each other. That's how we get people who are really busy to come and want to stay. If we are saying, well, you didn't show up, or you only, yeah, well, they didn't come, so we're not going to invite them back because they don't come. That's not going to fly. That's not going to get you new sisters. That's not going to get your sisters who are there to stay. Being appreciated, being welcomed, being flexible with whether they come or they go, and trying new things. Those are all ways to get people to come and stay. Now, the big question that comes up all the time is, what about those younger women, those ever elusive younger women? And I say here, I'm just a membership chair standing in front of a younger person asking you to love us. That's from Notting Hill, for those of you who don't know. And that's not the phrase of Notting Hill, but okay. So why don't these younger women like us? We're amazing. We're amazing human beings. Why don't they want to be with us? It's not that they don't love us. They do love us. But younger women have different reasons for wanting to come to something and wanting to stay. Here are what some of the younger people say when they've been asked in Sisterhoods, when they've been asked in the research on volunteering and why they join or don't join things. Here are some of the things that they say. Younger people say they don't want to join. A lot of sisterhood models. I didn't get that. Could you try again? Oh, that's my Apple Watch. It's talking to me. That's so funny. Sorry. I'll say it again. Younger from my Apple Watch. Younger people say they don't want to join. Okay, so here's how sisterhood models oftentimes work. Hello, we'd like you to pay $48 and join us and become a member. Then you'll get to know us. Then we'll ask you to volunteer. Welcome. That doesn't work for younger women. That doesn't work for other women too, and we'll get to that. But when you ask somebody to join right away and pay money before they've had a chance to get to know you, that doesn't always work. So I'm gonna suggest something really radical. I told you, it's membership mania. We're going wild. What if you let people come first and get to know you and come to events for free and sample and attend? And then you said to them, we love having you. Would you become a member? Instead of having them join right away. I know, it's unheard of. We don't do that, but I think that's what young people are looking for. They need also for sisterhood to be affordable financially. So what about offering it to them free or for half price or for a reduced price? What about letting them have sisterhood at a different price than the usual? Also, they want more intimate, genuine spiritual experiences. A lot of times what we do to get our younger people to come is we offer rock music and hip speakers, but really what they say they want in the research is they really want to feel a sense of belonging. They really want to feel a sense of community. They want to feel like they're having real spiritual experiences with other women. Rosh Kodesh is really popular with younger women because we go and we talk about spiritual topics and in an intimate setting. Maybe there's wine and a little bit of food. They want to be able to relax and unwind and be casual. They like being in their jeans and their pajama bottoms. So asking them to get dressed up and come on a Friday night to something or during the evening when they might have young kids to put to bed might not work for them. They also say they'd rather do tasks that are shorter in duration, within their wheelhouse, and with flexibility. We oftentimes want our younger women to join up and be the chairs of things or become our vice presidents. But oftentimes it's better to ask them to start out with a small task. How about just asking them, hey, what do you like to do? What do you find fun? Instead of, again, volunteering them, right? What kind of things do you enjoy? Well, it just so happens we could use somebody who could just like our social media. We're getting into social media, we're going on Twitter, we're going on Instagram, and we just need somebody to follow us and like us. You say you're on social media a lot. Would you be willing to do that? That's something that's in their wheelhouse if they've said they enjoy that. I'm in my car a lot. Would you mind dropping off a few goodie bags for us one day when you're driving around? Short, within their wheelhouse, and flexible. Let's say a younger woman with children says to you, I can't do anything in September. School is starting in September. I just can't. Don't say, okay, well, we want you to be a part of the membership committee and help run our event that's going to be in October. The meetings might be in September. That's not going to work. What would you like to do? Are you available more in the spring? We're going to have something in the spring. You say you love to make decorations. Would you want to help us with our centerpieces? We could always use creative people. So asking them, letting them pick when they do it, how often they do it, and making it short in duration. Now, they may want time away from their children during the week, but may not have childcare. Offer childcare. Ask those high school students again and offer community service to the high school students, or ask somebody and pay them. They may want time with their family on the weekend. So how about targeting families instead of just the person? That is, maybe you're doing a social justice project where they can all go together and pack up food for the homeless. Maybe you'll do a beach cleanup. The sister is doing a beach cleanup. Invite their whole family to come along. Invite their kids too. let them bring their kids to meetings. I know that sounds crazy, but my daughter started in something called Junior Sisterhood because I had to bring her to a meeting and she sat there doodling and she liked the ladies and thought we were fascinating. She thought we were just, there was something about us she found fascinating. She would sit in the corner and color and delight in our conversations. So why not let them bring their kids? If they say I can't come because my daughter, bring her along and make her feel welcome with her child. And finally, I already mentioned this, but they want us to welcome their ideas. Again, we need to get rid of those phrases. We need to cancel phrases like we've always done it this way. So those are some of the ways we can help younger people to become a part of us. I asked the question, should we give up on them? No, please do not give up on having younger people become a part of your sisterhoods. But please give them space and time to do so. Make sure it's on their time. Let them enjoy your company without having to pay, without having to join. Let them do it at their pace. It may mean changing the face of membership. It may mean that when someone shows up occasionally or just gives you 10 minutes of their time, that you're thinking of them as a part of your community and a part of your sisterhood, even though they haven't officially joined and paid the 48 bucks, or they haven't come and done a chairwomanship, they're still a part of your community, even for that 10 minutes. Now, there are some other hot topics that come up, and I'm gonna touch on them quickly. If I can find my mouse, there it is. So here are some other hot topics. How do we get members to be more active? And I'm gonna give you the big hint in one sentence. Do the same things that I just mentioned the young people want. If you want members to be more active, let them decide what they do. Now, sometimes you may not be able to do that. You have a list of things you need to get done. You have 10 jobs that need doing, or you have 5 tasks that need doing. In that case, why not give them that list of 10 or 5 things and let them tell you on that list, what do you like the best? Rank them. Do you like any of these things? Is there something else you can think of we haven't thought of that you'd rather do? If you want people to be more active, you have to listen to them and you have to let them pick and choose what they would like to do. You also should probably let them start small. I don't think I would ask a brand new person to chair something. I just wouldn't. I'd let a brand new person start with a small task or be part of a team. And then once they're part of a team and they're enjoying themselves, then you can ask them to chair something. But I think sometimes we love the idea, right? We have a new member, let's ask them to chair this event. They may not even know us yet. Something you can do if you want them on the board right away is you can make them a general member of your board. You can have like just a director or a member at large or a member at hand or call a general board member. They don't have a specific task that they have to do, but they're a part of your board. And that way they get to see who you are. They get to see how wonderful and amazing your sisterhood is. And then they may want to join. They may want to be a part. They may want to be a chair of something. They may wind up being your next president. But I think we have to start slow, small, let them taste us a little bit, taste sisterhood a little bit, and then join it. Now, something that comes up a lot is succession planning. And one thing I wanted to mention with getting members more active and getting them to take on the big roles, you know, like sisterhood president, one of the things that's really important with that is that we don't throw people to the wolves. We don't start them in those kinds of big roles without giving them guidance and mentorship. Another thing I want to mention is that we're going to be having an area day for all Pacific District on Sunday, August 1st. And there's going to be a workshop called How to Succeed in Membership. And it's going to be all about succession planning and how membership is intimately tied with succession planning. But a couple of hints tonight, and this is radical again, this is wild. What if we change the names of our positions? Let's say I said to you, hi, Debbie, I would like you to be president. You're going to be president of this large group of women or small group of women for 2 to 3 years. You're going to be responsible for them. Some of them aren't going to get along and they're going to come to you. You're going to get phone calls all the time. You may be doing a lot of work, a lot of emails. You may be up late at night. Then you may be trying to find someone to take your place and have trouble. Want to do it? Who's going to want to do that, right? That's what we do oftentimes. That's how we set up our sisterhoods. What if instead of that, we called it a team and we tried something like co-presidents, or even took out the word, dare I say it, president, and had it be where someone is in charge each month. That person is in charge of the meeting, any events that are going on that month. To me, it seems just a lot more reasonable to ask somebody to take on a month than to take on 2 or 3 years, right? What if we had a past president's council who was there to mentor and help the new president? I am blessed, and I'm looking right at Debbie Jankowski. I am so blessed. When I was at Temple Bethlehem Sisterhood, I had a group of women behind who I was standing on the shoulders of, and they had been there for me and were there for me throughout. A past president's council is the perfect role for past presidents to help the new president and guide them, and start guiding them even before they become president, when they're the first VP. Start guiding other board members and start looking for leadership. And leadership looking should start way early, should start like even before the person is on the board, looking for people who are good. This person's chairing this committee and they're doing an amazing job. That might be a potential leader. Past presidents know what it takes to be a leader because they've done it. So they are the perfect people to mentor and guide other board members, other chair people, people who might rise up to the ranks and be your leaders. And I don't think we utilize, for lack of a better word, our past presidents half as much as we could be doing. And I think that they are very welcoming of helping when they're asked. So more on succession planning, more on how to get members to be more active and take on those roles at Area Day in August. And I will take any questions you have tonight as well. This question though comes up, this is a hot question right now. I'm hearing more and more, why do we even need same-sex organizations? Why do we even bother having women's organizations? Are they relevant anymore? Are they important anymore? Well, I have my little, I guess, for lack of a way of putting it, elevator speech that I say. First of all, I want you to know that I truly believe that gender is a construct, that we should call people by their proper pronouns. When they ask us to call them by their pronouns, we should. That everyone should be welcomed and should be inclusive. Having said that, I also believe we need same-sex organizations. We need women's organizations. Both the WRJ and our sisterhood are welcoming and inclusive, but our mission is also to support women. And that is because women still make less than men at some jobs. Women still do not have the same rights, or have their rights being limited, not including reproductive rights, but not limited to reproductive rights. Women are still being not treated as equal as men in all situations. Recently, we had an authority figure say, we're getting your husbands back to work. And I wanted to read to you this. Let's see. In 2019, 47% of the labor force was women, and 57% of women participated in the labor force. So if we have that many women in the labor force and we have somebody saying we're getting your husbands back to work, there is still a need to resolve these issues, which means we need a place where women can join together to discuss these issues, to share and to personally connect. And anyone who supports our mission should be included. It doesn't mean that we don't support other people's rights. It just means that we are focused on supporting women's rights. And that is my little spiel that I tell people when they ask me why we need same-sex organizations. Finally, another hot topic, how can we support our synagogues post-COVID? So I'm going to suggest something else very radical. Sometimes we are at odds with our synagogue. They may be wanting some of our sisterhood money, especially if we're doing well. They may be taking our calendar dates. Some of us may be lucky enough that we have synagogues that don't do that, and we're blessed. But regardless of whether we're blessed or not, our synagogues are going to be in trouble when we come back, right? They haven't had people in the seats in a very long time. And now is the chance to be synergetic, because that's the right word, show synergy with our synagogues, to join together, do joint programs, welcome people back, be the greeters at services, try and join together on fundraisers that will help both the synagogue and sisterhood. Everybody is going to be in the same boat. The synagogues are going to need us. That's what sisterhoods do. So if you are part of a synagogue, this is your chance as a sisterhood to support them. I also mentioned non-members, and what I mean by that is some people have in their bylaws that a certain percentage of their sister members can be non-members of their synagogue. Some synagogues don't like that. Some synagogues don't let anybody who's not a member of the synagogue be in the sisterhood. Some sisterhoods don't have anything like that in their bylaws. I'm going to suggest that you think about having non-members of the synagogue as sisterhood members and talking about that with your synagogue leaders. Because a lot of times, women who join the sisterhood have so much fun that they want to join the synagogue. And it's actually an avenue into the synagogue. I don't think sometimes our synagogues see it that way. They think, oh, this person wasn't willing to join our synagogue, and we don't want them to be a member of sisterhood. But a lot of times it's the opposite. We are really good at what we do as sisterhoods. And so we get people hooked, we get women excited, and then a lot of times they'll join the synagogue. So I think it's a good time to suggest, even if it's only a percentage, that your bylaws include some non-members. Remember, again, we want some people to come and get to know us before they join us. That's another way to do it. To welcome people who are not members of the synagogue, but who might become members of the synagogue after they join your sisterhood. This is the time to be really flexible and really adaptable with our bylaws, with how we run our sisterhoods. It's a new world for us. It's been a new world this last year. Now it's going to be a different new world as we transition back to the buildings. It's a different time in our history. And anybody who doesn't like these ideas, like they say to you, why do you want non-members of the synagogue there? Remind them, this is the first time we've dealt with anything like this in the history of our country. Our sisterhood, it has been a place where we've gotten people to join from other places. Maybe somebody's mom or sister has come from a different state and joined your Zoom calls. Why not have them join in your sisterhood still, even after we go back? Now, the final thing I want to talk about is what happens when sisterhoods are really struggling. I call it survival for sisters and sisterhoods. These are the very tip of the iceberg, for lack of a way of putting it, kinds of situations. For example, you might be part of a synagogue right now, your sisterhood, that is merging with another synagogue. I'm going to suggest to you that you welcome the other sisterhood and you discuss how you might form a group together. This is a fabulous time to change anything you haven't liked about your sisterhood and to hold on to the traditions and things you love the most. Maybe the other synagogue doesn't have a women's group or sisterhood. What a great opportunity to get some of those women to join you guys, you women. So I'm going to really suggest that change isn't always a bad thing, especially if it comes with growth and understanding. So really try and support the new changes if you're merging with another synagogue, and really try and work with the other sisterhood, or if there isn't another sisterhood, really try and work with the women who are coming over from the other synagogue and welcome them, welcome their ideas, be flexible, take some of their ideas on and run with them. That will help you guys to become one as a sisterhood. Now, sometimes some sisterhoods are not going to have a synagogue anymore. There might be some synagogues, unfortunately, that are having issues and are going away. Hopefully this is not the case, but if this is the case, there is a way you can be a sisterhood without a synagogue. It's very unique, and I want to introduce Miriam Circle. Miriam Circle was started because a group of us left our temple, but we still really wanted to be a part of a sisterhood, and we missed our sisterhood. We couldn't be on the board at our sisterhood anymore because there was something in the bylaws that said you had to be a member of the synagogue. So what we did is we started just in July. We went and we researched. We had one of our members research how to become a nonprofit organization. We did articles of incorporation. We did the state and federal tax papers that we had to do. We got a public lawyer who works with nonprofits for free to help look over our paperwork. We were able to get a bank account. We do not have a synagogue looking in our purse at all. We do make sure we are very transparent with our membership, however. Our members are our board, so to speak. We have a board of directors, but our membership all gets a voice. So we are very careful to show our entire membership, our budget, our financials. And it's really wonderful because it's a chance to be transparent, but not have anybody kind of hanging over us, asking us, how much money do you have and can we have some? We've been able to have programs like Sisterhood Shabbat. We called it Celebration of Sisters. We've been able to have Stronger Together events, we call them, where we showcase one of our sisters. We've had all kinds of programs. We've supported Second Harvest and a local elementary school and the kids there. Or I think it's actually high school, but we've supported a local school. We've had social programs, cultural programs, you name it. We are a charitable organization. So we do social justice programs. So if you have any questions on how we went about that, how we did it, I am more than happy to answer those questions, but that is another unique way that you can survive if you are no longer going to have a synagogue, or your sisters don't want to be a part of the synagogue, but they still want to be a sisterhood. And finally, if your sisterhood, unfortunately, is really struggling and is, for lack of way, I can't think of another way to put it, so I apologize, but falling apart, there is a way you can still be a part of WRJ and the Pacific District. You can become a WRJ individual member. If you go to the WRJ website and you type in individual member, you will find a page that describes the dues, which are, I believe, are still currently $54. And by the way, this year it includes your Pacific District dues. It will for the next 2 years, I believe. So it will include all your dues for both the district and WRJ for the next couple of years. It includes our Highline, our newsletter that comes out bi-weekly that gives all the information about the district. It includes Yammer. You get to be on Yammer. It includes all kinds of programs that we have, both at the district level and the WRJ level. And you get an area director. If you are in the Pacific District, your area director is the VP of membership. Thank you very much. We have meet and greets. We have one coming up on May 4th. Our WRJ individual members, our Pacific District individual members wanted to still be a sisterhood. So we decided we'll be our own sisterhood. We'll meet together and we'll talk and we'll just have a grand old time. And we've been doing that. So we meet and greet about every 6 to 8 weeks and we have different topics and we just have fun together. It's not ideal in that, yes, you're not an official sisterhood, but it's still nice. You still get to be a part of WRJ in the Pacific District. You still get to be welcomed and included. So those are the hot topics, all the things I wanted to tell you guys about. And now I'm going to give you my email address in case you need it. We are going to open it up to questions. I also wanted to tell you about the Yammer membership group. If you're interested in joining it, you can contact Heather at leadership@wrj.org. And I think I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just answer questions.
So we know a lot of you have questions or things you want to mention. So if you could click on your reactions, it's the smiley face on the bottom of the screen, and virtually raise your hand. Stacy will see that your hand is up and call on you.
Evelyn?
And I think we have some Mid-Atlantic folks.
Do we really? Oh, very cool. So I see Evelyn Bell's hand is up. You got to unmute yourself, Evelyn. Hello.
I'm looking at my other screens. That's why you see my profile. I've got 3 screens.
You have a
in front of
lovely
me.
profile.
I just want to add a few other hints. We are trying to be, I'm president of my sisterhood right now, and my board is made up of mostly past presidents. And I was sort of coerced into becoming sisterhood president. I was going to say, their membership was weakening. It was so hard for the past president to get anything accomplished. So she saw me in the pool and said, "Evelyn, can you help me? Can you be our president?" I mean, she literally, and I said, "Okay, sure, but you need to help me. I mean, I'm not going to do this alone. I need all the support. I don't want to have to find people. I want people that's already on the board right now, and that's work together. And then we'll see if we can figure out how to get, share the love." So she was okay with that. And it's been very successful. We've had such a great time. We've increased our membership. We're still working on getting the younger generation, but you're absolutely right about, trying to find ways of, enticing them. Mahjong had been one of I had a younger group of people playing Mahjong and from different places, and they decided they wanted to join the Sisterhood because we had such a great Mahjong group. The other thing is we're joining forces with our men's club, and because both the men's club and the Sisterhood are facing the same issues of getting members, to come and getting the younger guys getting involved, because the older guys can't lift furniture anymore and schlep things like they normally would do in the men's club, as well as other things, that we rely on. And so those younger men, they want to have programs. So we are coming up together with programs, and it's really been very fun. So I agree totally. The more enthusiasm, as if you are president, I think the more enthusiasm you exude about all the things that you're doing. And I know, Stacey, you have that personality, and is a personality, that you want people to feel happy and excited about things. And if you are passionate about what you do, whether you feel like you were coerced in the first place, but if you really take on the position, it really does help other people say, "God, I want to feel that too,"
I love that you guys are having synergy with not only your synagogue, but with the brotherhood.
Yes.
I also just want to remind you though, to start thinking about the person who's going to come after you. And
Yes.
you can do the same thing for that person. You can, as a past president, right now, as like a current president, you can start training them now.
Right.
Take them along for the ride. If you guys have anybody, if you're lucky enough, some people aren't, but if you're lucky enough to even have a few people who might be interested, start showing them what you do and how you do it. And again, not making the job overwhelming. If
Yes.
we make the job overwhelming, and hand it off, that's when people don't want to do that. I personally don't like the word president. I think the word president, I mean, I loved being a president, but the word president, I think, is scaring people off. It seems like you're in charge of the whole thing, instead of you're going to be part of a team, and you're going to be facilitating that team, and you're going to be delegating from that team. So thank you, Evelyn. I thought I saw her hand. I can't see the second page too, sorry. Let's see if I can see if there's anybody on the second page. Okay, we'll go back. Anybody else have any questions?
Marge, Shane, I have my hand up.
Oh, Marge, you had your hand up? Okay, Marge. And then Marge, I saw you too. I'll get to you after Marge.
Okay, I think I started at the very beginning here when we started our meeting by telling you that I'm part of Women of Beth Israel from San Diego, California. We were defunct for a while, and now we are just resurrecting our sisterhood. We're very excited about it. Our synagogue has a no dues, it's voluntary. So anybody that wants to, whatever they want to give, they give. So there's not a dues, so to speak, structure any longer. And although there is, I mean, people make their dues during the year, but it's not, they don't send it out and say you have to make X, Y, and Z. So before we were defunct, we had a dues structure. Now we are in the process of making a decision to do a dues structure or not. We had a meeting last night with the steering committee, and we're becoming a board now. And it was thought of last night that we would not do a dues structure, a membership dues structure. And I want to know from everybody how you then would then get, I mean, for events and sisterhood kinds of things, what do you do then to, we need money in the treasury to have like special events. How would you approach this?
I'll answer, and then if some other people have answers for you too. For me, I was thinking that I actually love the idea that you're not going to do dues, but I do think maybe you need to let your sisters know how much if you have a budget is a really good tool. And you can say, we're not asking for dues, but just so you know, this is what it's going to cost us for our year. And then let them decide what they're going to give. The other thing you could do is if you have specific events where you have a special speaker, or you have where you have food. For those particular events, you might have to charge for those events because otherwise you're not going to be able to pay for the event. But those are a couple things I can think of where with you don't have to necessarily have a dues structure, but you can still show them what your budget is. The only other thing I can think of and I don't know, honestly, Marge, how it will work for you guys your first year back. A lot of times WRJ gives you a break, but if you are going to be a part of WRJ and the Pacific District, eventually you will have to pay WRJ dues, but oftentimes WRJ will work with you so you can work things out. Maybe you can wait and see how much money you have and then pay. You know, there's definitely ways to work around it, even if you're paying WRJ dues and not have dues as part of your sisterhood. So did anybody else have any answers for Marge? Anything that's worked for them? Does anybody else have a no dues structure to their sisterhood? No? Evelyn, do you have no dues?
I raised my hand, but I didn't get acknowledged.
Sorry,
That's
Deborah.
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's
It's
okay.
hard for me to. It's really hard for me to see. Shoshana, I might need your help if you see hands too.
Hi, everybody. So I'm at Temple Beth Israel in Pomona, and we literally just this past year started our new group of women. We even voted on calling ourselves the Women of TBI. I have to say, I've been so thrilled. We just now started our membership campaign, but we, for the past, well, since October, have had programs on Zoom, which included, I mean, at one point, I think we had 67 women, you know, which is pretty amazing since we were just starting. And so in our membership campaign, we actually sent out a form, and we actually, at this point in time, since we're just new, we told them that they didn't need to, there weren't going to be any dues, that if they wanted to make a donation, they could. We just wanted them to fill out a form and join our group. And I have to say, I'm blown away by the generosity of the women who still decided to make a donation and send something in, because we're already starting, you know, with a lot of money coming in, and now we're just going to be officially starting. So, and then once we do have our group official, and we're starting, you know, in person and whatnot, and in this next year, starting in July, we actually are going to have a tiered you know, I guess membership, but what we're going to say is, you know, anywhere between $18 and $54 that they can give what they can. And then we are very specific in stating that no woman will be turned away if they cannot pay any dues, because we don't want them to feel like they can't join if they don't have the money. And we've already had people who have said they will make a donation anonymously to cover the cost of one woman if they need to. So that's what we're doing at Temple Baptist.
I love that idea of having like an underwriter or an angel. We've done that before too, who can help somebody who maybe can't afford it be able to be part of it. And I think synagogues are starting to move away a little bit, some synagogues anyway, from having dues or calling them dues or calling, and you know, saying you make a donation kind of a thing. And so some sisterhoods may be doing that as well. So I love that idea of a nice range. And then I love especially the phrase, nobody will be turned away.
We do we call ours our dues for our temple philanthropy. They're not called dues anymore. And we are starting to look at we've only been charging $54, but we also encourage gifts. If you know of a woman who would like to join, you can gift her membership. Okay.
I love that idea.
That comes really, we had 2 people do that right now in our membership. The other thing that we always have our brand new members, even to brand new members of our temple, but brand new members not pay a year, just join. And then this gives them an opportunity to partake in the activities. However, the other thing we have to deal with though, is that if we do have an activity that requires a budget and we have to get money, and we're having a guest speaker coming over from Calabasas, for example, on our next event, you know, we will ask them to, you know, to pay, you know, and that way that's already, then their membership is paid, you know, but we have to ask for that, you know what I mean? We are starting to do Fran is our sort of like our now, Fran Sherman is sort of like our membership chair now. She's kind of absorbed into that role now. I just sort of like, you're doing it, okay? And anyhow, so she came up with a tier structure that she said she's had very good response and to it. And we have to remember that the younger generations, we want to be more inclusive, so we're not going to pester them because we know they have to pay Hebrew school and all other stuff that goes along with becoming a member of a temple, or just, you know, being a parent, you know, and a young family. You know, it's expensive.
I think though, I would still invite the younger generation to your activities. I would invite them along and ask them also what kind of activities they would like to see, but don't ask them to be members. I know it's so bizarre. We don't usually do that, right? We have, you pay, you come. But I think we need to flip it a little bit if we want to have more people join in. I think there was another question. Marcia, I think also had a question.
Deborah J had a hand up too.
Okay, thank you.
And
so
Marcia.
So Marcia and then Deb J.
Okay, so we had a meeting last night. I am co-president and my co is having to resign. So I need a new term for me. Thank you very much. It's just not just, I need a modern term. The other thing is having this meeting last night, tossing around some ideas, and there were a couple of younger people, although it wasn't very well attended. And one gal said, well, wait, I can be in charge of a picnic and I'll find out how we can make reservations at a local park and we can all just be together and reconnect. That was the whole idea of reconnecting, is sort of like the theme of the day, is reconnecting. And then somebody said, well, I'll organize a hike. So that will bring in a lot, the hike part, and we can invite kids to come. And we're not climbing major mountains, but just a nice hike. And I think that's going to work, but I'm still sort of stumped with my dilemma of who am I? I'm at Peninsula Temple Bethel in San Mateo. So we are Bethel women. So if anybody has any suggestions as to, other than just my name tag, just saying Marcia, I'd be real happy.
Marcia, what if you were the team leader? What if you were the sisterhood team leader and or you were the facilitator? Or, I mean, there's so many things where we're all a team here and everyone's taking on a task or a role. And I will be the overarching person. Let's face it, we all know there has to be one person, right? Who kind of has the big picture, who knows whatever, right? But that person doesn't have to be responsible for everything. And if somebody doesn't do their task, what happens with the president oftentimes? I mean, I know it happened with
Here
the
you are.
winds up having to do it, right? What if it wasn't like that? What if we said, this is going to be your task to take on, and if you don't take it on, maybe we just won't do it? Would the sky come down if we didn't get to do something? I know what happened when I was a Girl Scout leader. If I gave a task to one of my Girl Scout moms and they didn't do it, the girls didn't get to do it. And then the girls would say, in front of the moms usually, how come we didn't get to do blah, blah, blah?
Right.
And I just would let it get, and that kind of just took care of it, right?
Yes, my other problem is that I'm an event planner. So everybody knows that if they drop the ball, here I am. Right.
I know it's hard, but
that
I think you're going to have
tough.
to let them drop the ball. It's really hard. It's hard for me. I'm telling you this, and I don't follow this. Those of you who know me well know that I couldn't let a ball drop like that. But sometimes I think when we assign people tasks and they don't follow through, the only way they're going to is if the task doesn't happen, and then it happens the next year instead. COVID is kind of giving us permission a little bit. I know that's a weird way to think about it, to have things change. We had to do all kinds of different things this year. We had all of our sisterhoods had all different kinds of events planned that we had to, we were going to be going left and we had to go right. So I still think this transition back is still giving us permission to, okay, I can't do everything. I have a team. If it doesn't come through, okay, we're not going to be doing that this year. I love that chair leadership team.
Leadership team.
Yeah.
Good idea. Thank you. Thank you, one and all, everybody. And for this presentation, it's terrific. Thank you.
Thank you. Deb J, where are you? Did you have a question?
Hi, no, I
Hey,
have
there you
a question. Stacey, it's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you too.
I know. Wow. I just wanted to share, if we're sharing ideas, at our sisterhood is relatively new, and we do. I think we're trying to steer away from the word dues and more towards contribution. You know, by being a sisterhood member, you are supporting our efforts. So we do charge. We don't charge. You know, we ask for $36, but everything we do for the synagogue, for the community, is free. We've budgeted our year according to what we think we'll get monetarily. So everything we do is inclusive, and everything we do is free unless it's specifically a fundraiser or unless there's a meal. And if there's a meal, we only charge what it costs us to put on the meal. I think it helps promote a positive opinion of our sisterhood at our synagogue. And then regarding the younger women, COVID kind of sidelined us for a little while, but we actually went to the preschool board of young moms, and we just introduced ourselves, and we just asked them, what do they think the preschool needs, or what would they like? We didn't ask them for money, and we didn't ask them to do anything. We were expressing our wish to help them, you know, make their world a little bit better. And what we got back was they all wanted to play mahjong. So we provided
That's
a
two
few women.
people that
and a-
who knew mahjong might be the key.
It could very well, who knows? But we got about, 3 or 4 women, and we only had 3 classes, but we had 10 women. 10 of these young women sign up, and they're still playing among themselves. Again, we didn't charge anything. They bought their own synagogue mahjong set. We contributed to their preschool playground. But mostly, and we did a family Shabbat together where we provided the dessert, men's club provided pizza or something, I forget, but it was a group effort. And some of those women have now become religious school parents, and they have joined our sisterhood totally on their own. So it's more an idea of trying to get them to learn who we are and what we do.
I love that because I think I remember this. A lot of times we would have these conversations. Those younger women never want to join us. They know we helped the preschool, we gave to the playground, we painted their day. I think we have to stop looking at it that way. I think we have to start giving them the space and the time, like I said, to enjoy us and come at their pace. We have to look at it as if we're investing in our future as sisterhood. So if we invest when they're younger, when they have preschool kids, when they're young women, let's not expect anything from them. Let's not expect them to join or to volunteer. Let's just help out. And then I can guarantee you that some of them later on will go, the sisterhood has been so amazing. Now my kid, one of the best times, by the way, to recruit women is their youngest child's senior year, because they're about to become empty nesters. And that is an amazing time to get them. So you've helped them out in the preschool, you've helped paint the fence, you've given money to the playground like Deb's sisterhood did. And then you've helped the religious school out. You've given donuts or muffins at the religious school opening. Then it's time. And then you hit them up and then you get them, because they're going to have such wonderful feelings about how amazing your sisterhood is already. And now they're going to be looking for somebody to help and something to do. So I know we always say we want the younger women. We'll get them. We will. We may not get them at the pace we want them. And we're not going to get them if we go in there guns a-blazing. What can you do for us? Here's what we need. It's just not going to work. And we can't just ask them join, without letting them have a taste. And obviously, it's a taste of mahjong. Who knew? So anybody else? And
Stacey, you've got Mona Davis and Barbara Smith who both had their hands up.
Okay. I'm sorry, the first name, I missed it.
Mona?
Mona, thank you. Hi, Mona.
Hi. So I have a question regarding perhaps not charging sisterhood membership dues. For anyone that has done that, I was wondering if it would be difficult getting presenters or speakers to come in if you said, well, wait, we first have to charge for the event and then see if we are able to hire you. Does anyone have any experience with that? And that we couldn't say, well, we already have the money for you, because then wouldn't you have to wait for people to sign up for it?
I'm going to suggest, and then I will let other people, of course, join in. There's going to be a workshop on this, by the way, at Area Day as well. It's called Creating a Budget. I really think the best way to decide who you're going to have come and what you're going to do is to budget it. Let's say you don't know what speaker you're going to have. You don't know how much they're going to cost, but you know you're going to want a really dynamic speaker. Make sure that you've budgeted that from the get-go. And then even if you're not collecting dues, again, you could say, here's what our budget says we're going to need for the year. And I think I've noticed that when you don't say an amount of money, people will give more oftentimes. Like when you don't say, it's $18 for dues or $36 for dues, they'll give you more money. So you can budget guesstimating how much you're going to need and how much you want to have. And then a budget's a fluid document. You can always go back and change it. But I think the way to avoid the, we have a speaker and now we have to wait on the speaker because we don't know how much we're going to have, is to know in advance in your budget how much you're willing to spend. We're willing to spend up to about this much.
Okay, thanks.
And Barbara Smith also has her hand up.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a situation that we dealt with and that we're developing our board for next year. And we do not have a men's club. We did years ago. They haven't been able to bring it back. Great guy who just thinks sisterhood is the most wonderful thing in the world. He's in our choir, member of the temple, really nice guy. And he offered to be on the board. And we checked, bylaws and so on, and realized he can't actually be on the board. But we told him, what we ended up telling him was he can't be a member of the board. We do have associate members. My husband's an associate member where they help pay for our octogenarians and so on. Anyway, we told him, you're welcome to come to board meetings. We would love your input. You want to help us on committees. I mean, he's a really nice guy, but that had never happened before. So it just was something unique that happened with our sisterhood this year that it was kind of cool because he's a really good person. So then we checked bylaws to find out how it worked. So I just had wanted to mention it.
I mentioned it too, but we did in our sisterhood too. We had Friends of Sisterhood where we welcomed our men folk that way because we had in our bylaws that you had to be a woman or identify as a woman.
Identify as, right.
Identify as a woman.
Right.
But we didn't, if anybody who supports us, we are welcome, we're going to welcome and to come join us for food and hang out with us. And so we did the Friends of Sisterhood. That's the similar thing. And it sounds like Shoshana, her sisterhood, does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pause for a second. It's about 8:15, 8:16, and I don't want you all to think that you have to stay the whole night. So I'm going to hang out. And Shoshana, that goes for you too. If you want to hand over hosting to me and go hang out with your child and or you can stay, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to stay and talk to anybody who's still, I can stay a little bit longer, but I also don't want anybody to feel like they have to stay. So thank you all for coming. Again, I'm here. I'll let Shoshana make me hostess so she can head out. And yeah.
Well, Fanny has her hand up. She does have a question.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Fanny.
Sure. Fanny, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, so I'm wondering if any of you are using the opt-in or opt-out feature with your temple dues and how that's working.
Can you explain what you mean by opt-in, opt-out?
Well, for instance, when you re-up your temple membership, we have to fill out a form with whatever information they need. And And you can have like add to that. Please add sisterhood dues to my membership. Or do not add sisterhood dues to my membership. So it would be an opt-in or an opt-out. And I'm just wondering if anybody has done that and how it's worked.
We used to have at Temple Shalom, we had sisterhood and brotherhood listed on our temple dues, but we didn't have a do not option. We only had a check here if you want option. I don't know if I like the do not option because it puts it in their mind that they could just say, no, I don't want to be a part of sisterhood. I like the idea of having a box, not, you can't force somebody to join sisterhood, although there are sisterhoods that have, you're automatically, when you join a synagogue, a sisterhood or brotherhood member. But I think if you're going to make that option, I don't know if I'd put the option of do not. I think I would just have a box that says, yes, I'd like to join sisterhood.
Or else it would just be included in your membership to the temple without any discussion.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of between you and the executive director of your temple, but I would think it would be where the option would be only if they check that box, will you make them a sisterhood member? Otherwise, it won't be.
Well, actually, that's what we're doing right now. And we've been doing it for the past few years. And it seems to be working. We sometimes have a problem getting all the information from the temple passed on to us, and the money comes in very strange ways, and we don't always know who the money is attached to. So there's some technical stuff that has to be dealt with.
I'm nodding because, and I'm looking at Susan Scheffler as I'm nodding because she's our VP of membership. Similar. I think that's, I would suspect that's kind of common, that, there's some communication gaps in contact information and who it came from and how it came. Yeah.
Exactly. So, so it's not an uncommon situation. And we decided, actually, it was for this year, we had, but then COVID happened anyway. So we had decided that we were going to, any new members to the temple would be given a free membership for the first year.
I love
that. So we did that and we reached out to people, but it's been such a crazy year that, so we're going to do it again this year. And I think we're just going to do that, period, for the future. And we've gotten some pretty nice new members who are becoming involved. And what we found is something that you were talking about earlier, Stacy, about not overwhelming somebody with a big job. And so what we've been doing is what I've been doing, because I'm membership vice president, chair, whatever that title is, I don't know. Anyway, what I've been doing is reaching out to people and just asking them to do one thing. Maybe make a phone call, maybe, bring something to someone's house. I don't know, just simple, small things, little steps, baby steps.
I love that you're starting out small. I'm going to suggest one more part of it. I think what you're doing is fantastic that you're starting out small like that. Maybe start by asking them what they like to do, what interests them, and then look at your list of tasks that you have to get done and see if any of them match what they like to do.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've been doing. And so as a result, we're having some success with this. It's just, it would be nice to be able to see people in person. And
I know, it's coming. And you look at all the different options you have.
Yeah.
Right? You can hybrid, you can mix it up, you can do some virtual, you can do some, it's going to be a whole new world, and it's going to be fabulous. I think this is going to bring new people into our sisterhoods who weren't there, because look what happened. I don't know if this happened with you guys, but on Zoom, we've had people come from other states.
Oh, yes.
We've had people, right, who joined us from other parts of California, because
Yeah.
we're in California. We've had people come from here, from where we are, but who never came because they didn't want to drive at night. They just didn't want to go out at night to a nighttime meeting.
Well, we're talking about having our winter board meetings virtual.
I think that's brilliant.
No, and that'll works for me anyway, but yeah. Okay.
Those are awesome ideas. You guys are, I think everybody's doing a really good job. It's really hard. First, we had to deal with COVID. Now we have to deal with the transition, which is a whole other
Right.
ball of wax. So, does anybody else have any other questions or anything else they want to talk about? Evelyn, did you have something?
I just want to tailor on that. When I started doing the sisterhood, I created a TBT sisterhood survey, and I had people, even members that have been in the club, in the organization for quite a long time, to fill out some information. Basically, how long you've been a member, how many, what days would you be free for a meeting? How often would you want to meet for a meeting? What are you interested in doing? What do you, if you're working, what kind of job do you, what is your profession? And then I gave them all kinds of, do you like holiday baking? Do you like doing, whatever, and sort of I gave them an opportunity to tell them a little bit of, do a profile. So, and I use that information if I want to highlight a member, in my newsletter, like, she has done, and it's a great tool. And like, whenever we're trying to come up with, like this next holiday, where I call it the cheesecake holiday. I can't pronounce it. I don't know why I have the hardest time pronouncing Shavuot or Shavuot. Yes, thank you. I have to repeat it several times. I don't know why I can't say it, but I call it the cheesecake holiday. And there's so many of the ladies just love to bake and make, blintzes and stuff like that. So if I know that they had that on their survey, I'm going to call them up and ask them, would you be on a committee to start working on some really cool ideas for this holiday? And so that's something you can do too, is when you get your new members, have them fill out a real brief one, nothing overwhelming, but basically with their birthday too. So when their birthday is, we can send them a tribute card. How long, and if they've been married, when is their anniversary? Send them an anniversary card. So get them involved in their personality too, and their personal life a little bit, not too intrusive, but still something where you can get, them, they feel like, oh, you really want to get to know me. And now, if you have pets or whatever,
One thing that's really nice about that too, I love that idea, is you can offer like, we don't call them raffles, we're not allowed to, right? But opportunity drawing, where you give a couple $5 or $10 Starbucks cards if you fill it out. Because a lot of times, unfortunately, what happens is you don't get all your membership, or even half your membership filling out those kind of things. But along with that, a question that I think should come up is, we've talked a lot tonight. At the beginning, I talked about the all in person or the all virtual or the hybrid or the mix up. It might be time to start asking your membership what they prefer in terms of, if we were to have our nighttime meetings, which would you prefer? Zoom, or, if we were to have Sister Shabbat, which would you prefer? You kind of probably saw it, like I suggested this year, who came to what, but it's also another way to ask, you can ask them, which would you prefer? Would you be there in person, or would you want to be there virtually? And the answer might surprise you. The answer might be exactly what you kind of saw. Oh, okay, nighttime meetings, yeah, we're going to keep virtual because people just would rather be in their pajama bottoms at night. But Sister Shabbat, people really want that back. They want to, I'm just making up things, but that's, you might see that. Did anybody else? No? Okay. Norma, you asked me about my ring light. It's not a Zoom light ring. It's I got it on Amazon. Lori Glaske suggested it. It's called the UB size, UBEESIZE. And I got it. It's just a ring light that I found on Amazon because Lori Glaske looks so beautiful. If those of you who know Lori Glaske, she's amazing. And she looks so beautiful in the light. And I'm like, I want one of those. And so she told me to go on Amazon and told me the name of the brand. But I can look more into it if you want me to and find out more information for you. But that's how I'm lit up in a dark room here. But thank you all so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm not going anywhere. Well, that's not true. I'm moving to Nevada in about 8 days, but I'm not going anywhere in terms of, I'll still be here virtually. I'm around profnagel@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat again. You're always welcome to email me anything I can do for you, any more information you want on anything. Thank you again to Shoshana. I really appreciate you, and I'm so grateful that you were here with me tonight. And thank you all. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. And
Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Thanks,
bye.
everyone. And this is going to be on Yammer as a reminder. So if you want to share this with someone in your sisterhood and they're on Yammer, please encourage them to check it out. I think Stacy and I'll probably have it up in the next day or two. And thank you again. So I'm going to stop recording now. So if you have specific or personal or individual questions, you can feel free to ask those without fear of it being recorded. And you all have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shoshana.